Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Deja Vu here, bringing you set 2 of the MSL Group C. This is going to be Horang2 and Ruby. The winner of this match will go on to play Zero, and the loser will go on to play Hyun. And I just remembered that we have renamed the losers match. We are no longer going to call it the losers match. Varosh suggested this to me in a comment that we should call it the elimination match, which I think is fantastic, because that way we don't have to call them losers. And so that will be we're going to rename the third set for the MSL. So if the MSL people are watching, if the MBC people are watching, think about it. Rename the third set to the elimination match. I think it's a good name. So there we go. It's going to be the elimination match, and we're going to have Horang2 starting out in the top right in red, and this is Mancha. And then top left in yellow is going to be Ruby. So Ruby from Air Force Ace, and Horang2 from now Height Entis. So this should be pretty fun. This is once again a rather large map, but they are at pretty close positions if you're looking at the map. It is a pretty short push distance to go from one base to the other. Shouldn't be too difficult if one of them wants to put on a timing attack if you're in Ruby's case, or put on some early pressure from Horang. It is definitely a possibility. Horang2 originally came on the league as the Neo Nalra, if anyone can remember that. That was a while ago. It was maybe a year, or maybe even more than that. I don't even know. It was a while ago. I keep forgetting how long I've just been here casting. Like, it's been almost 2 years, and I haven't even realized that it's been 2 years. So things that happened at the beginning of my commentating career, I think just happened. So it's been a while since Horang2 showed up, but he did show up being called the Neo Nalra because he had some very entertaining cheeses, some cool cannon rushes that people from different positions that people hadn't seen before, and some creative play. And that's kind of died down a bit. Creative play in StarCraft, particularly at least in the early game, has become pretty difficult to do just because of players have gotten so well at defending. That's really what it is more than anything else. People have gotten so good at defending, and there's only so many units you can get out early. No matter what you do, there's still like a cap of how many units can you really get out at an early point in the game. And so cheese and creative cheeses have kind of gotten really difficult to do unless you're particularly come up with something innovative. So that sort of style from Horang has kind of passed by the wayside, and he's gone towards more traditional play. And it's less entertaining, of course. It's always less entertaining to see less innovative play, but he is still a rather solid player. He is a very good player, and I'm actually picking him to get out of this group. Getting out of this group, I actually have Zero coming out on top and Horang2 coming out as the second winner. So there is my official predictions. I have them all written down for every single group, and that is my prediction for who will come out of this group: Zero and Horang2. So we'll see if my prediction is correct. And what is this? A proxy, not a proxy pylon, but a hidden pylon. So it could be hiding some DT tech here, possibly Reavers, but usually when you go Reavers, you're going to try and get them close to your opponent's base. So I got to think that this will be a hidden DT tech while he, after he ushers out the SCV. Maybe even he'll throw up a Nexus to try and show a Nexus and fake it, but we will see. And this SCV is inside the base. Got to be kind of confused as to where everything is. He sees the gateway, doesn't see the core spinning, so he's got to assume that there's going to be either once this SCV gets out, he's either going to have to assume that there's being something chased his way, or that there's a proxy, a hidden nexus, something along those lines. And I think that SCV is leaving right now, looking around, and Ruby is, I think, very, very confused right now. I think he knows that something's up. You can see him scouting the edges of the base, and that's because Terran players, when they're looking at a Protoss player's base, once they get the scouting, they're counting pylons. They're looking for exactly how many pylons there are, and he notes that one is missing, so he knows that there's something going on somewhere. He just doesn't know what yet, and so he's looking for that last pylon to find a building, to find something, and he's got to be somewhat wary right now. He's got to be thinking that there's either going to be Reavers, or proxy Reavers, or perhaps hidden DTs, or a hidden Nexus. Those are really the three options right now of what are probably going through Ruby's head. So we're going to see how he responds and which of the three he thinks is coming his way. It looks like he's looking for proxy Robo right now with the SCV at the 9 o'clock position. But he's still not really sure. He's still looking around and has no confirmation of his suspicions. So we will see how well he responds. Two of those three possibilities, the Reavers and the DTs, would require an engineering bay with turrets as a good response. So he could actually throw down an engineering bay with some confidence, thinking that he will probably predict what's coming his way, and if he's wrong, he's only going to be behind by a little, somewhat, in terms of his his production, because he did do that quick command center as well. So I would not be surprised to see him throw down an engineering bay very shortly, just because of his clear suspicions that he's got going on right now. The Templar Archives has finished, so that gateway is moving in right now. There's the first Dark Templar, has completed. Robotics facility coming up as well. So yeah, this is going with some really heavy teching going on here off of one base. That's a lot of gas into the Archives, the Citadel, the Robo, the DT. A lot of gas has been spent already, and that's a good wall in by Ruby too. So I don't know how much luck Horang2 is going to have getting in here. He's probably going to have to wait for a dropship maybe to drop this DT in, but there is an engineering bay going up as I thought, and I mean, by the time a shuttle gets out to drop this DT in, I gotta think that there will be turrets in play, and there's a turret coming up at the natural expansion right now as that DT and 2 Dragoons are peppering at the supply depot. A lot of SCVs coming off the line. Siege has completed, so those Dragoon's almost biting it, so the turret is up, and this entire ploy has failed, nothing to doing, and the natural expansion is up, so that is something for Horang2, but he's definitely behind on the eco, but he does have his tech going quite well. Since that robo is already up, he's probably getting a shuttle right now, otherwise we'd see the observatory, so he's probably going to have observers up well in time. He'll have the, he's well on his way to Arbiter Tech if he wants. There's only a couple buildings left to get to Arbiter Tech, so in terms of that, he's in decent shape, but overall, in terms of what he would want to do, his position is it's really not where he wants to be. He didn't get into the base at all. He didn't do any damage, and that missile turret being there well in time means that he's going to have a lot of trouble doing any sort of drop play or really any sort of creative harassment with these DTs. He's going to use them for map control right now, and he does have a shuttle. Perhaps he'll try to drop the DTs on top of tanks or something like that. If they're loaded up with a couple Zealots in particular, you could really see some havoc being played. But it's a tough spot right now for Horang2 to continue with this, and he's actually is going to pick up the DTs. Looks like he's going to try and get into the main. There are missile turrets. Depending upon the angle that he takes, he's going to have to take a good angle, and there really isn't one, to be totally honest with you. There's no angle that he can take where he can get his DTs in without taking, probably losing that shuttle, really. I don't think that he's really going to be able to save that shuttle if he decides to dart in there. And it looks like Horang2 has realized this as well and has decided to back off, and is just going to continue using these DTs for map control. And yeah, he's going to Ruby's going to have to wait till scan, going to have to wait till something else comes his way before he'll really be able to push out effectively. We do have a Reaver out as well, so look at this from Horang2. Horang2 coming out with a lot of tech offense. We've got DTs, we've got Reavers, we've got shuttles. Next thing you know, we're going to have Storm mixed in here, and he's going to go with the no Zealot, no Dragoon, and straight into high-tech units game, which basically means that every single unit's going to have to be very, very well used and be worth its weight in gold. And DT's trying to stop these vultures, but they are not going to be too successful, and the vultures are going to be heading towards the third. Looks like maybe they're looking for a third base for Horang2, going to try and stop that from going up, because he knows the second base is up earlier, so as long as both players stay on 2 bases, Ruby's going to be very, very happy. It's just a matter of when that third comes into play. And there's the vultures finding the proxy tag. It's like, oh, well, or the hidden tag. Well, there it is. Oh, well, doesn't really matter. By the time those vultures would take down the building, it would be too late. And taking down that pylon doesn't really do too much at all. So we are starting to see a goon build up finally from Horang2, and a couple more gateways coming up as well. So finally heading into the macro phase. We got a first observer out, and mines have been produced as well. So right now I think Ruby's trying to goad Horang2 into coming into this position, hoping that maybe he doesn't have observers, but he does. So he should have time enough to get observers into position and clear away these mines, while at the same time getting in there and saving his tech buildings. But a couple more vultures from Ruby actually thinking about coming in, going to do a run by, and there are 2 Dragoons there waiting, so he's not going to be able to run by, and trying to plant a couple mines there. So far, not so good. So far, hasn't been able to get anything, and one of the mines does go off and kills 1 Dragoon, but there are more, there's still a Dragoon in there, and there's going to be more coming out. So there's the Reaver as well, actually showing the Reaver, which I think was actually a hidden trick that Horang2 could have saved, is that Reaver, I don't think that Ruby knew about it, so I think he could have actually hid that, which could have been very cool. But he decides to show it, decides to use it there, hoping to get some vulture kills. Unfortunately, wasn't able to. So that's something else that Ruby's going to have to worry about and going to have to keep his mind on as he pushes out here. And it looks like he is ready to push out with these 5 tanks and some vultures. And this will be interesting to see if this is actually a push or if this is just going to be crawling out, trying to establish some map control, maybe take a third, something along those lines. It does look like he wants to go to the 12 o'clock position. His vultures at the 3 o'clock position have stopped that expo from going up so far. A tank's moving into the 12 o'clock. Looks like they're going to try and siege up, and that Reaver could be very, very important. Could take out tanks one by one at a huge rate here. It needs to pick up that Reaver before the mine goes off, and I think the Reaver actually did go down right there, so all there is left is Zealot bombs in that shuttle. So that Reaver going down, huge loss for Horang2, huge loss. That is really painful. And look at this, he can't even fake shuttle drops. He can't. There's nothing going in there. He's just gonna. Horang2 is just gonna have to retreat, and that means that the third base of Ruby is going to get up before the third of Horang2 as well. So this is getting two more. Oh wow, more Dragoons going down to mines. That is just painful. Horang2 in bad position right there. You see him, that exasperated expression on his face, the punched out cheeks, and definitely he realizes that he's in a pretty bad position, losing his DTs, losing his Reavers, and not really doing very well economically. And Vulture's now sneaking into the natural expansion, picking off a few probes as well. So things just not going well at all for Horang2 right now. Everything seems to be going against him. And he's definitely got quite an uphill climb now if he's going to work back into this game. Reaver Tech is probably, or not, sorry, not Reaver. Arbiter Tech is probably his next step. Since he is so close, already has a Templar Archives. And he really doesn't have the money for carriers, can't afford carriers, so I think he's going to have to go that route. It looks like there's one Vulture slowly picking at that Templar Archives. That's just annoying, where you see that little red box in the corner of your eye every now and then on your minimap because there's a Vulture pecking at your Templar Archives that you're not even really worried about, but it has to be done. And he finally gets rid of it. So now we have Ruby. He's trying to establish position outside of his natural expansion. He's got a line of tanks setting up some missile turrets, and at the same time he's going to be working towards science vessels as well as throwing down some more factories. So we're going to be heading into a huge macro pump, unit pump for Ruby here in the next few minutes. And if Horang2 notices this, he's going to have to prepare for a push and prepare to counter. He's gonna have to gauge his time, see if he has time to get arbiters out, or if he has to bypass that maybe, or delay that a little bit in order to make sure that he has enough of an army and zealot bombs and things out on the field. And he actually does already have his tribunal up, so he will have arbiters out in time to defend against this push. Fortunately for Ruby, he will also have a science vessel, at least one science vessel in time for when his push comes out as well. We do have armories going up, so that does mean that we will start getting upgrades from Ruby. That's the second army that was going up, actually. So he should be at 1-0. Yeah, he's at 1-0, so he'll be heading towards 2-1. Probably this will be a 2-1 timing push with near maxed out army, I imagine. And yeah, it's going to be a tough push for Horang2 to counter. It really is. There's going to be a lot of units heading his way. He's got to watch out for that mines. These mines could be very, very deadly. But there is an observer in play, so that will protect him significantly. And yeah, look at that. Starting to macro up an army for Horang as well. So this could be very interesting strategically how they engage. If one of them is able to get on a ridge with either tanks or dragoons and is able to make that an engagement point, that can definitely be an advantage with the mischance. Even with tanks mischancing, they do splash damage, but really not nearly as much as what a Terran player is hoping for and what a Terran player needs. So if you can force that kind of engagement where the tanks are not on high ground, you're definitely at an advantageous position. And yeah, I think that's one of the things that that Horang's going to have to think about in terms of trying to engage the army of Ruby. This map does have a lot of hills in the middle of the map and a lot of engagement points, so definitely something to watch out for. A couple forges coming up here. 3 forges coming up. Look at that. 3 forges. 4 forges. What the heck? Well, that's one too many there, boy. A little bit too much there. A little bit too much spamming of BF there for Horang2. I hope all 3 of them. I hope 3 of them start spinning. One of them is. Hopefully the other 2 do. Otherwise, there's just no point to them. And you know, it's kind of disappointing. We do have 12 gateways now for Horang2, so he's macking up, taking the 2 bases in the bottom right as well. So the push for Ruby is going to have some choices. Where does it go? Does it go straight to the natural? Does it go to the bottom right and try and take out those two bases? Ruby's going to have to make some decisions here. Where does he go? And depending upon that, he's going to determine how Horang decides to engage, how he fights a retreat, where he tries to come in for a flank. All very, very important. and will change drastically depending upon Ruby's decisions. Do have a big Maynard going on. Hopefully that doesn't get picked off. There are vultures about to head out, looking to do some scouting on the where the army is of Horang2, and finding it right at his doorstep on this first hill. So that is some good information for Ruby. Knows that his first engagement is going to occur very, very early. And now the vultures heading around the south of the map and going to be heading towards those bottom right-hand bases. There are a couple cannons in position, but there could be a big run-by, and there are 2 pylons up in time to defend. So that is very, very important. 2 pylons going to stop that run-by for the most part. Oh, no, it actually does stop the run-by. Look at that. And they actually blow up one of the cannons as well. Looks like they're going to blow up the second cannon too. Just an Arbiter defending along with some probes, it looks like, defending. Oh, no, the probes are just trying to get under the Arbiter's cloak of safety. And at the same time, here comes a little push out from Ruby, and he was just trying to get that Arbiter, and he does get it. Very, very important. That is a huge play that he was able to get that Arbiter. I believe that was the first Arbiter, so that might have been the Arbiter with the most energy. Even if it wasn't, even if this Arbiter in the south is the one with the most energy, that will still take out at least 1 stasis that would be available to Horang2, and Horang2 needs to retreat right now. He does not have his forces in position to defend yet against this push. Look at those tanks. This is a 2-1 power push coming from Ruby, and this is going to be very, very strong. Good timing to engage right there. A little mini engagement from Horang2. Very, very well timed as these tanks unsieged and started to move out. Perfectly timed. Took out a few tanks with minimal casualties to his own. And ow, so close. Thinking about engaging right there, was very, very close to choosing another engagement, but instead decides to back off for now. Horang2 looking for more reinforcements, looking to just grow his army, and I think he really wants a second Arbiter in play, and he does manage to stasis the Science Vessel, which means that scans are going to become more in play. High Templar in position, needs to get some storms. Storms on the vultures! What about storms on the tanks, Horang2? Storms on the tanks! A big storm goes off on the vultures and a stasis goes off on the tanks, but where were the storms on the tanks? Storms on the tanks would have been so much cooler. More storms all over vultures, and I mean, this is a new theory from Horang2. Maybe he's thought up this theory that if you can get rid of vultures fast enough, you can get the rest of your units right into the tanks and do damage that way. This would be a very different theory from Horang2 than what has been the traditional thought. Maybe that's something he was thinking about, but first attempt at doing that was not very pretty. That did not end well at all for Horang2. Lost a lot of units and did not take out very many tanks at all. Vultures are so replaceable very, very quickly, which is why you go for the tanks first, because the vultures, they're just going to be replaced so fast. So you want to get rid of as many tanks as you can, so that when the reinforcing vultures come, you can clean them up with ease, because, well, there's very little tank support. That's the general idea, but Horang2 trying to throw a wrinkle into that theory, and that did not work out very well at all for him. And this push is still pushing towards the natural, and the third looking to get in between. A big storm and a big stasis going off. That's what we're talking about there. That is a nice storm on a bunch of tanks, and a stasis going off on a few more, and some Dragoons coming in from the south getting absolutely slaughtered, getting manhandled. There was no Dragoon support, or no Zealot support for the Dragoons coming in from the south, and they did not come in quite at the same time as these this force from the top. So Horang2 is going to clean this up eventually, it looks like here. Looks like he is going to manage to clean it up. Enough stasises have gone off on enough units in different spots that this push has kind of fizzled out. But no, more reinforcements coming from Ruby, and it looks like it may be enough. This is very, very close. Who's going to win this push? It's going back and forth, very, very close here. And Ruby has come back to come in support of these stasis units, and that's got to be a worry for Horang2, because once those units come out of stasis right now, they could actually end up doing a lot of damage and adding a lot of firepower to the army of Ruby. D-Matrix going off on another one of those tanks and is going to keep that tank alive. That tank barely goes down from all the friendly fire, but that is not nearly enough for what Horang2 is looking to do, and that Vulture getting 4 kills, 5 kills, just going to start racking up kills here on these probes. A couple of tanks moving into position as well. So these probes, this third base looks like it's going to go down, but the bottom right 2 bases are still operational for Horang2, so this is not a death blow by any means, quite yet for Horang2. Losing another Arbiter, though, that is going to be painful. Not getting any stasis or anything off with that, and that is going to hurt. And Horang2's forces, whether they're, I can't tell whether they're being lured or not, but they are heading towards the 12 o'clock position. They may be getting lured, otherwise he could be going for a little counter blow, trying to take down the third base of Ruby as well. Siege tanks re-sieging up, and those Dragoons are going to die. Some Zealots trying to get into position here and going for bombs. Nope, not going to try and do any Zealot drags or anything like that. And this attack at the 12 o'clock position is going to be foiled. He's going to have to back off here, not able to get through that wall very efficiently at all. An Arbiter guiding these Zealots right into the tank line, and does manage to get in there, but there is a turret and Goliath, and they pick off the Arbiter again. A nice stasis going off on a couple couple tanks, a decent stasis, but it looks like things are just not going well for Horang2, and he is going to GG. That's it for this game. Ruby plays a very, very nice game. Horang2 going with went with a lot of early game tech and harassment, didn't work out, and just could not catch up well enough throughout the rest of the game in order to come away with the victory. So that means Ruby's going to go on into the winner's match. He's going to play 0, and Horang2 is going to go on to the elimination match, where he will play Hyun. So, winner's match will come at you next. That's going to be 0 versus Ruby. I will see you guys all there.